Level 1. Halcón. You're 14. The asphalt radiating heat through the soles of your fake Vans is exactly 112 degrees. You sit on a plastic milk crate at the intersection of a dusty state highway and a dirt road. You have a prepaid flip phone and a half-empty bottle of warm Sprite. Your pay is $50 a week. You've been staring at the horizon for 9 hours. Chewy sits on the curb across the street. Chewy chewed salted sunflower seeds and always spat the shells onto his own shoes. 2 greens heading north, Chewy whispers into his radio. You see them. 2 military transports kicking up dust, rolling at 40 miles per hour. You hit speed dial on the flip phone. It rings twice. You hang up. That's the code. The convoy rolls past you. A soldier in the back of the second truck stares right at you. You don't look away. You take a slow sip of the flat soda. 2 miles up the road, a warehouse holding 4 tons of product quietly empties out into the brush because of your missed call. Nobody knows you saved the shipment. Nobody pats your back. You just sit on the crate and wait for the sun to drop. Dust coats your teeth. Level 2. Burrero. You're 17. The burlap sack straps cut deep grooves into your collarbones. You are carrying 62 pounds of compressed marijuana through the Sonoran Desert at 2 a.m. The temperature plummeted to 38 degrees 3 hours ago. There are 12 of you in a single file line walking a dry riverbed. Hector is point man. Hector had a silver canine tooth and never drank water while the sun was up. Keep the rhythm, Hector hisses over his shoulder. You hear the low, thumping rhythm of a rotor blade before you see it. Border Patrol helicopter. The searchlight cuts a white swath through the mesquite bushes. You drop flat into the freezing sand. You bury your face in the dirt. You don't breathe for 45 agonizing seconds. The beam sweeps 5 feet to your left. The helicopter banks south and fades. You lie there in the absolute silence of the desert. Your calves are cramping violently. You push yourself back up, adjust the straps, and keep walking. The sand burns through your soles. Level 3, Sicario. You're 21. The metallic smell of spent brass fills the cab of the stolen Ford Raptor. You hold a chopped AR-15 with a taped-together double magazine. Your heart hammers against your ribs at 140 beats per minute. You are parked across from an open-air car wash. The target is sitting in a white Tahoe. Flacco is behind the wheel. Flacco wore counterfeit Gucci belts and laughed with his mouth entirely open. Aim for the engine block first, Flacco says, putting the truck in drive. The Raptor screeches to a halt, blocking the Tahoe. You step out. The afternoon heat hits you. You raise the rifle. 6.5 pounds of pressure on the trigger. You dump 20 rounds through the windshield in 3 seconds. The glass turns white, then red. The sound of the high-pressure water hoses is deafening. A woman working the wash drops her bucket. She locks eyes with you. You have a clear shot. You stand perfectly still for 2 seconds. You lower the barrel. You get back in the truck. You leave her shivering on the wet concrete. The water turns pink. Level 4. Jefe de Estaca. You're 26. The living room of the safe house smells like bleach and cheap takeout. You manage a cell of 12 men. Your weekly operational budget is $80,000 in wrapped 10s and 20s. You sit on a floral-patterned sofa, counting the street receipts. Beto stands by the window. Beto scratched the back of his neck constantly and drank hot coffee from a foam cup. We are short $3,000, Beto says, tossing a ledger on the table. You look at the newest kid in your crew. He's 19. He bought a new gold chain yesterday. The kid starts crying before you even ask the question. He swears he'll pay it back. He begs. You have a choice. Let him pay it back and show the other 11 men that stealing from the cartel is a negotiable offense, or handle it right now. You draw the .38 super from your waistband. You rack the slide. The metallic clack echoes in the small room. You pull the trigger once. The kid folds instantly. You hand the gun to Beto. You go back to counting the stacks. The carpet absorbs it all. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what career you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe. We upload every single day. Level 5, Jefe de Plaza. You're 31. The back office of the strip club vibrates with the bass from the main floor. You control the entire city now. Your monthly quota to the regional boss is $500,000. You pay the local police chief $20,000 a week to look the other way. Commander Ruiz sits across your desk. Ruiz smelled of expensive cologne and never looked you directly in the eye. Price went up, Ruiz says, studying his fingernails. Federales are in town. It's 40 now. 2 days later, a military checkpoint intercepts a tractor trailer holding 500 kilos of pure cocaine. You are summoned to a concrete bunker in the mountains. 5 other plaza bosses sit in metal folding chairs. The regional boss demands an explanation. You stand up. You don't make excuses about Ruiz or the Federales. You own the failure out loud. You speak clearly into the silent room, admitting your logistics were sloppy. You realize that in this room, survival isn't about never failing. It's about how you absorb the humiliation. The regional boss nods once. You pay the difference. Level 6, Operador. You're 36. The air-conditioned warehouse holds a constant 65 degrees to keep the avocados from rotting. You are standing in front of 4 pallets of export-grade fruit. Hidden inside the false bottoms of the wooden crates are 2 tons of product. The street value in Chicago is $60 million. You don't carry a gun anymore. You carry 3 encrypted cell phones. Gordo inspects a clipboard nearby. Gordo sweated through his linen shirts by 9 a.m. and always chewed on a plastic toothpick. The manifest is stamped wrong, Gordo mutters. A young logistics manager put the wrong custom seal on a $15 million pallet. The kid is terrified, waiting for the bullet. You don't scream. You don't threaten his family. You walk over, pick up a rotten black avocado from a discard bin, and hand it to him. You make him eat it. You watch in total silence as he chokes down the bitter, rancid flesh. He throws up on his own boots. You hand him a napkin. The lesson sticks. Level 7, Lugarteniente. You're 42. The marble balcony of the hacienda overlooks 400 acres of blue agave. You command 600 men across 3 states. You launder $12 million a month through agricultural subsidies and construction firms. You wear custom Italian suits that breathe in the Mexican heat. Diego sits at the patio table. Diego wore pristine white guayaberas and spoke entirely in whispers. The governor needs a headline, Diego says, pouring sparkling water. The election is coming. The government needs to show they are winning the war. They need a high-profile bust. You have to provide one. You have a loyal plaza boss in a border town, a man who has earned you millions over the last 5 years. You pick up the encrypted phone. You leak his coordinates to the Marines. You sacrifice a loyal soldier and 30 of his men to buy the cartel another 2 years of political immunity. You hear the distant thud of a helicopter over the mountains. You make the call. Level 8, Enlace. You're 48. The private dining room in Mexico City serves a dry-aged ribeye that costs $300. You are the bridge between the cartel and the federal government. Your bribery budget is $8 million a month. You haven't seen the actual product in 10 years. Senator Vargas sits across the heavy mahogany table. Vargas cut his meat into perfect half-inch squares and never drank alcohol. Your brother's faction is making too much noise in Veracruz, Vargas says, placing his fork down. Your younger brother runs a rogue enforcement wing. He hangs bodies from bridges. He brings the military down on the logistics routes. You have two bad options: defend your blood and start a war with the state, or sanction the hit on your own mother's son. You look at the red center of your steak. The silence in the dining room is suffocating. You nod once. You authorize the execution. You finish your meal. Blood is just overhead. Level 9. El Jefe. You're 55. The mountain compound is accessible only by a single dirt road heavily mined with IEDs. You are the apex. The organization generates $4 billion annually. You employ 15,000 people. You dictate the macroeconomics of entire regions. You sit in a leather chair facing a wall of security monitors. El Padrino sits in the corner. El Padrino had a hacking, wet cough and read newspapers from 3 days ago. The southern cartels are merging, El Padrino wheezes. They are moving on your ports. You have to authorize a preemptive strike. The war will cost an estimated 3,000 lives over the next 12 months. It will burn cities to the ground. It will ruin the economy of 2 states. The Sicario commanders wait on the encrypted conference line for your word. You look at a map of the country on the wall, divided by colored pushpins. You don't hesitate. You give the order. You cut the line. The map stays red. Level 10. El Fantasma. You're 64. The rain hits the zinc roof of the safe house in rural Guatemala with a deafening roar. You haven't left this 5-acre compound in 12 years. You have $800 million scattered across untouchable offshore accounts. You sit in a rattan chair on the porch. The air is thick with humidity. 4 heavily armed guards stand at the perimeter, shadows in the downpour. You don't think about the $4 billion. You don't think about the governor or the senators or the wars that burn the cities. You watch the water pool in the mud. You think about Chuy spitting sunflower seeds on his shoes. You think about Hector's silver tooth in the freezing desert. You think about Flaco laughing with his mouth open. You sit alone in the dark, realizing you spent 40 years slaughtering your way to the top of a mountain, only to lock yourself inside a cage at the summit. You survived by becoming a ghost. You just didn't realize you were already dead.